We often imagine that a spiritual battle will look like a movie, something dark, obvious, and terrifying. We expect the things that want to pull us away from God to arrive with a snarl or a shadow. But in our actual lives, it rarely happens that way. Sometimes, the most dangerous influences don't look like enemies at all. They look like support. They look like a familiar face, a comforting voice, or even a deep historical love. If you've ever felt a strange, nagging sense of confusion after a conversation with someone you trust, or if you've felt your spiritual fire slowly dimming without knowing why, you're not alone. The Bible gives us very specific signs to help us understand these moments, but we have to know where to look. Before we can even begin to spot these patterns, we have to establish one vital truth that changes everything. This is never about attacking people or labeling our friends and family as demons. In fact, when we start seeing people as the enemy, we've already lost the battle. We have to look past the person to see the spirit. Ephesians 6:12 tells us clearly, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and spiritual forces of evil." This means that the person standing in front of you is not your adversary. The issue is the spirit influencing their behavior. These influences don't usually announce themselves with a shout. They prefer to hide behind the safety of familiarity. They operate through close circles, family, friends, trusted mentors, not because those people are inherently bad, but because that access creates a path for influence. Darkness prefers relationship over confrontation. If it can't stop you through an open door, it will try to slow you down through a quiet whisper. The strategy of subtle drift. The first sign of this kind of influence is a gentle, persistent pull away from your devotion. You won't hear a voice telling you to stop believing in God altogether. That would be too obvious. Instead, the influence focuses on slowing your obedience. It looks like comfortable resistance. Maybe you decide to start a new prayer habit, or you feel called to set a boundary with a toxic habit. Suddenly, a voice you trust says, "You're doing too much. Why are you becoming so extreme? God understands that you're human. Relax. Everyone sins a little." It sounds so reasonable, doesn't it? It sounds like grace. But 2 Corinthians 11:14 warns us that Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. This means not every spiritual distraction feels dark. Some of it sounds like common sense. It feels like someone looking out for your well-being. But there is a distinct pattern you can watch for. God pulls you forward, while this influence pulls you sideways. It doesn't try to turn you around. It just tries to keep you distracted. When someone in your life consistently minimizes your convictions, mocks your discipline, or normalizes the things you are trying to walk away from, it's no longer just a personality trait. It is a spiritual interference designed to keep you in a state of lukewarm comfort. The reaction to your obedience. The second sign is perhaps the most revealing because it only appears when you take action. There are many influences that are perfectly fine with you talking about God or even going to church, but the moment you start to actually obey God, the moment you set a boundary, say no to a specific sin, or choose a life of discipline, their entire tone changes. This is when the mask slips. They might get irritated, defensive, or even mocking. They might say, "You've changed. You think you're better than us now. You're being judgmental." This isn't actually about you. It's about what your obedience represents. Jesus says in John 3:20, "Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light." Light doesn't attack darkness. It exposes it. Your obedience is a light that exposes the lack of it in others. When someone reacts strongly to your spiritual growth, it's often because your progress is removing their control or their access to you. This is why discernment matters so much more than an argument. You don't need to fight them. You just need to observe the spirit behind the reaction. When a spirit can no longer influence you through your habits, it will reveal its true nature through its resentment of your change. The disruption of peace. The third sign is the environment that follows them into the room. We have to pay attention to the atmosphere people create in our lives. There are some relationships where, no matter how much you talk or how much you try to resolve things, you always leave feeling drained, confused, or anxious. This isn't random. 1 Corinthians 14:33 reminds us that God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. If a relationship consistently breeds chaos, drama, and overthinking, you have to ask yourself where that is coming from. Demonic influence thrives on emotional instability. It loves to stir up fear-based narratives and keep you in a cycle of constant conflict where peace is always postponed. You'll notice that in these dynamics, problems are always exaggerated, but solutions are never quite enough. Whatever a spirit carries, it spreads. If God's Spirit brings clarity and stillness, then a dark influence will always bring noise. If someone in your life constantly disrupts your internal peace, you may not need more conversations to fix it. What you need is the discernment to realize that the noise isn't just human, it's spiritual. The rejection of truth for opinion. A fourth and very subtle sign is a deep-seated resistance to truth combined with a love for opinions. You might find yourself in conversations where the other person is happy to debate feelings, their truth, or the latest social trends. But the second you bring Scripture into the conversation, the atmosphere shifts. They might say, "That's just your interpretation," or "Times have changed. That's too extreme for today." This is a mindset the Bible specifically warns us about in 2 Timothy 4:3, which says that a time will come when people will not endure sound doctrine, but instead they will gather teachers who tell them what their itching ears want to hear. Truth is uncomfortable because it convicts. It demands change and removes our excuses. Opinions, on the other hand, are comfortable because they allow us to stay exactly where we are. If you notice that someone consistently avoids the word, twists truth to fit their emotions, or gets irritated by biblical correction, it's a sign of a spirit that cannot coexist with obedience. Truth is the ultimate filter. If it isn't welcome, the influence isn't from God. The theft of confidence. The final sign is the way you feel about yourself and God after you've spent time with them. This isn't about feeling tempted to do something bad. It's about feeling a deep sense of uncertainty. You start to second-guess the things God has already told you. You start to feel guilty for being disciplined. You wonder if your discernment is actually just you being judgmental. This is a direct attack on your spiritual clarity. James 1:8 tells us that a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. This is the goal of the influence, to make you double-minded. A confused believer is much easier to control than a convicted one. If someone in your life frames your obedience as pride or makes your spiritual confidence feel like arrogance, they are not strengthening your walk. They are draining your clarity. God never removes clarity. He increases it. He doesn't lead us through a fog of guilt. He leads us with a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. Learning to see these signs isn't about becoming paranoid or looking for a demon under every rock. It's about protection. It's about being a good steward of the heart God gave you. Jesus loved everyone he met, but he didn't give everyone the same level of access to his inner life. You can care for people deeply. You can pray for them fervently, and you can still guard your spirit by being careful about who has a seat at the table of your heart. Take a moment today to step back and look at the fruit of your most frequent interactions. Are they feeding your clarity, or are they feeding your confusion? If this message resonated with you, I want to invite you to do something simple. Just take a second to reflect on one area where you've been feeling pulled sideways. You don't have to fix it all today, but acknowledging it is the first step toward walking in the light. If you're ready to choose clarity over that quiet, comfortable resistance, just write the word "I choose clarity" in the comments as a way of setting that intention for yourself. And if you want to keep exploring how to walk in this kind of truth without becoming cold or isolated, I hope you'll stay with us as we go deeper. May you walk with a spirit that is alert, a heart that is guarded, and a mind that is stayed on Him. Clarity isn't just a gift, it's a form of obedience. Stay alert.